It was a normal Tuesday morning when everything changed. The sun rose as it always did, painting the sky in soft pinks and oranges. People all over the world woke up, made their coffee, and started their daily routines. No one knew that this day would be different from any other in human history. At 9:17 a.m. Greenwich Mean Time, every phone, TV, and computer screen on Earth suddenly went black. A moment later, they all turned on again, showing the same image: a massive fleet of spaceships entering Earth's orbit. The ships were unlike anything humans had ever seen or built. They were huge, dark, and shaped like arrowheads. There were hundreds of them, maybe even thousands. Panic spread quickly. In New York, cars stopped in the middle of the street as drivers got out to look at the sky. In Tokyo, office workers crowded around windows, pointing and shouting. In a small village in Africa, children ran to their parents, scared and confused. World leaders were caught off guard. The President of the United States was woken up by frantic advisors. The Chinese government called an emergency meeting. European leaders scrambled to make sense of what was happening. As the hours passed, more information came in. The ships had not made any moves to attack. They just stayed in orbit, silent and still. Scientists tried to communicate with them, but got no response. Military leaders around the world put their forces on high alert, ready for anything. By noon, the United Nations called for an emergency meeting. Representatives from every country rushed to New York. The usually busy streets of Manhattan were eerily quiet. Everyone was inside, glued to their screens, waiting for news. Inside the UN building, the atmosphere was tense. Leaders who usually argued with each other now sat side by side, united by fear and confusion. The Secretary General stood up to speak, her voice shaking slightly. "Ladies and gentlemen," she said, "we face an unprecedented situation. An alien fleet has entered our orbit. We do not know their intentions. We do not know if they come in peace or—" She couldn't finish the sentence. Everyone in the room knew what she meant. As the meeting went on, reports came in from around the world. In some places, people were panicking. Stores were emptied as people bought supplies. In other places, people gathered in churches, mosques, and temples to pray. Some brave souls even organized welcome parties for the aliens, gathering in open fields with signs saying, "We come in peace." Scientists worked nonstop, trying to learn more about the ships. They used every tool they had: telescopes, radar, even old radio equipment. But the ships remained a mystery. They seemed to be made of a material that absorbed all signals sent their way. Military leaders from different countries, who usually didn't trust each other, started working together. They shared information and made plans. But they all knew that if the aliens decided to attack, Earth's weapons might not be enough. As the day turned to night, no one on Earth could sleep. People stayed up, watching the sky, waiting for something to happen. Parents held their children close. Friends called each other, saying things they had always been afraid to say. In space, astronauts on the International Space Station had the closest view of the alien ships. They sent back pictures and videos, showing just how big and advanced the ships were. One astronaut, in a shaky video call, said, "I've never felt so small." Back on Earth, as midnight approached, the UN meeting was still going on. Leaders argued about what to do. Should they try to communicate again? Should they show strength? Should they wait? Just as they were about to take a vote, every screen in the room lit up. A face appeared, but it wasn't human. It had gray skin, large black eyes, and no visible mouth. The room fell silent. The alien spoke, its words translated into every human language at once. "People of Earth," it said, "we have arrived." And with those 4 simple words, everyone knew that nothing would ever be the same again. The world held its breath as the alien face disappeared from the screens. For a moment, there was silence. Then, chaos erupted once again. At the United Nations, leaders argued about what to do next. Some wanted to prepare for war. Others wanted to welcome the aliens with open arms. In the end, they decided to wait and see what the aliens would do next. They didn't have to wait long. At exactly noon the next day, a small ship broke away from the alien fleet. It was heading towards Earth. The ship was shaped like a teardrop and glowed with a soft blue light. It moved faster than any human aircraft, crossing the distance from orbit to the ground in minutes. The world watched as it landed smoothly in an empty field just outside New York City. As soon as the ship touched down, a door opened in its side. A ramp extended to the ground, and a figure stepped out. The alien looked almost human, but not quite. It was tall and thin, with skin that shimmered like metal in the sunlight. Its eyes were large and completely black, without any white or visible pupils. The alien raised its hand in what seemed like a greeting. Then, to everyone's surprise, it spoke in perfect English. "I am Ambassador Zix of the Galactic Empire," it said. "We have come to offer Earth a great opportunity." World leaders quickly gathered at the landing site. They came with guards and weapons, but the alien didn't seem bothered. It waited patiently as a temporary meeting area was set up. Once everyone was seated, Ambassador Zix began to speak again. "The Galactic Empire spans millions of worlds across thousands of galaxies," it said. "We bring peace, progress, and prosperity to all who join us. And now we offer this chance to Earth." The leaders listened in stunned silence as the alien continued. "Join the Empire, and you will have access to technology beyond your wildest dreams. Your people will never know hunger or disease again. You will be able to travel the stars and see wonders you can't even imagine." For a moment, some of the leaders looked tempted, but then the ambassador's tone changed. "However," Zix said, its voice becoming colder, "if you refuse, you will be left behind. The Empire will move on, and Earth will be marked as a primitive, hostile world. No help will come if you face disasters. No trade will be allowed with advanced civilizations. You will be alone in the universe." The UN Secretary-General stood up, her face pale but determined. "And if we join," she asked, "what would be expected of us?" The alien's answer was blunt. "You would be subject to imperial law. Your resources would be used for the good of the Empire. Your most intelligent citizens would serve on other worlds. And of course, you would pay taxes to the imperial treasury." A murmur of anger ran through the group of leaders. The President of the United States spoke up. "So we'd be giving up our freedom," he said, "becoming a colony of your empire." Ambassador Zix tilted its head, as if confused. "Freedom is an illusion," it said. "In the Empire, everyone has a place. Everyone is cared for. Isn't that better than your chaos?" The leaders looked at each other, their faces grim. They knew this was the biggest decision in human history. The alien seemed to sense their hesitation. "You have 24 hours to decide," Zix said. "When I return tomorrow, I expect your answer. Choose wisely." With that, the ambassador turned and walked back to its ship. The teardrop-shaped craft lifted off silently, returning to the fleet in orbit. As soon as the ship was gone, arguments broke out among the leaders. Some thought joining the Empire was the only safe choice. Others were ready to fight for Earth's independence, no matter the cost. All around the world, people watched and waited. In homes, in offices, in public squares, the debate raged. What should Earth do? Join a powerful alien empire and lose their freedom, or stand alone and risk being left behind? As the hours ticked by, the tension grew. Tomorrow, Earth would have to give its answer, and that answer would change the fate of humanity forever. As the 24-hour deadline approached, Earth was a planet in turmoil. The world's leaders had retreated to a secret underground bunker to make their final decision. Meanwhile, the rest of humanity waited anxiously. In labs and workshops around the globe, scientists and engineers worked nonstop. They knew that whatever decision was made, Earth needed to be prepared. Dr. Sarah Chen, a brilliant physicist from China, led a team working on a new type of energy shield. In her lab in Beijing, she barely slept, fueled by determination and strong coffee. "We can do this," she told her tired team. "We have to." Across the world in Silicon Valley, tech genius Raj Patel had gathered the best computer experts. They were trying to hack into the alien ship systems. Raj's fingers flew over his keyboard, his eyes glued to the screen. "If we can just get in," he muttered, "we might find a weakness." In Russia, military leaders gathered their best soldiers. They trained them to use experimental weapons, just in case. Colonel Ivanov watched his troops with pride and worry. "Be ready for anything," he told them. "The fate of Earth may rest on your shoulders." As the scientists and soldiers prepared, ordinary people around the world didn't sit idle. In New York, a group of construction workers started building underground shelters. In a small town in Brazil, farmers gathered their harvests, storing food for hard times. In Australia, surfers patrolled the coasts, watching for any sign of alien activity in the oceans. Back in the secret bunker, world leaders argued fiercely. The President of India stood up, her voice firm. "We cannot give up our freedom," she said. "We must fight, even if it seems hopeless." The Prime Minister of Canada disagreed. "But at what cost?" he asked. "Can we risk the lives of billions?" As they debated, a young aide burst into the room. "You need to see this," he said, turning on a large screen. The screen showed live feeds from around the world. In every city, in every country, people were gathering. They held signs and banners. Some said, "We choose freedom." Others read, "Earth United." The message was clear. Humanity wanted to stand together. Seeing this, the leaders felt a new resolve. They made their decision. Earth would not join the Galactic Empire. They would stand alone if they had to, but they would be free. With only hours left before the deadline, they put their plan into action. The President of the United States went on global TV to address the world. "My fellow Earthlings," she said, her voice strong and clear, "we have decided to reject the Empire's offer. We choose freedom. We choose to stand on our own. It won't be easy, but together we can face any challenge." As soon as the announcement was made, a new wave of activity swept the planet. In every country, people began to prepare. They stocked up on supplies, helped their neighbors, and got ready for whatever might come. In orbit, the alien ships remained silent and still. No one knew how they would react to Earth's decision. As the final hour approached, Dr. Chen made a breakthrough with her energy shield. Raj found a small gap in the alien ship's defenses, and Colonel Ivanov's troops stood ready, their new weapons primed. All around the world, people gathered in front of screens and radios. They held hands with loved ones and strangers alike. A sense of unity unlike anything in human history swept the globe. The clock ticked down. 10 minutes left. 5 minutes. 1 minute. Then, right on time, the alien ambassador's ship appeared in the sky again. It was time for Earth to give its answer. As the ship descended, humanity held its breath. They had made their choice. Now, they would face the consequences together. Whatever happened next, one thing was certain. This was the moment that would define the future of Earth and all of humanity. The alien ship landed in the same field as before. Ambassador Zix stepped out, its metallic skin gleaming in the sunlight. World leaders gathered to meet it, their faces set with determination. The UN Secretary General stepped forward. "Ambassador," she said, her voice steady, "we have made our decision. Earth chooses to remain free. We respectfully decline your offer to join the Galactic Empire." For a moment, the alien was silent. Then it spoke, its voice colder than before. "You have made a grave mistake," Zix said. "The Empire does not take rejection lightly." Before anyone could respond, the ambassador turned and walked back to its ship. As the craft took off, a feeling of dread settled over the crowd. They didn't have to wait long to see what would happen next. Within minutes, the alien fleet in orbit began to move. Huge ships positioned themselves over major cities around the world. In New York, people looked up to see a massive shadow blocking out the sun. In Tokyo, traffic stopped as drivers got out of their cars to stare at the sky. In Rio de Janeiro, beachgoers ran for cover. Then, without warning, the attack began. Beams of intense light shot down from the ships, targeting key locations. Military bases, power plants, and government buildings were hit first. But Earth was not helpless. As soon as the attack started, Dr. Chen activated her energy shield. A shimmer appeared in the air over many cities, deflecting some of the alien beams. In his tech hub, Raj worked furiously at his computer. Come on, he muttered. Suddenly, he shouted in triumph. I'm in. His hack had worked, disrupting the targeting systems of several alien ships. Around the world, Earth's military forces sprang into action. Fighter jets took to the skies, armed with new weapons designed to penetrate alien defenses. On the ground, soldiers used advanced energy rifles to shoot down smaller alien craft that had entered the atmosphere. The battle raged on. In some places, the aliens seemed unstoppable. The Great Pyramids of Egypt crumbled under their attack. The Sydney Opera House was reduced to ashes. But in other areas, humanity held its ground. In London, a group of civilians worked together to rescue people trapped in a collapsed building. In Moscow, firefighters battled blazes caused by alien weapons, refusing to give up even as the flames spread. As the hours passed, it became clear that this was not the easy victory the Empire had expected. Earth's defenses, hastily prepared but fueled by determination, were holding out better than anyone could have hoped. In orbit, the captain of the lead alien ship was growing frustrated. How is this possible? He demanded. They're primitives. They shouldn't be able to resist us like this. Back on Earth, in the secret command center, world leaders watched the battle unfold. Reports came in from around the globe. Yes, there was destruction. Yes, lives had been lost. But humanity was fighting back. The president of Kenya spoke up, her voice filled with pride. Look at what we've accomplished in just 24 hours, she said. Imagine what we can do if we keep working together. As the first day of battle drew to a close, neither side had claimed victory. The alien ships pulled back, regrouping in higher orbit. On Earth, people emerged from shelters, assessing the damage and helping their neighbors. In the command center, leaders began to plan their next move. They knew the aliens would attack again, but now they had hope. They had seen what humanity could do when united against a common threat. As night fell, Dr. Chen worked on improving her shield. Rad searched for more weaknesses in the alien systems, and in cities and towns around the world, ordinary people prepared for another day of fighting. The first strike was over. Earth had survived. But everyone knew this was just the beginning. The real test was yet to come. Could humanity continue to stand against the might of a galactic empire? As stars appeared in the sky, twinkling between the hulking shapes of alien ships, the people of Earth steeled themselves for whatever tomorrow might bring. As the sun rose on the second day of the invasion, Earth was battered but not broken. The alien fleet loomed in the sky, preparing for another assault. But this time, humanity was ready to strike back. In the secret command center, world leaders gathered around a holographic map of the planet. General Maria Rodriguez, a tough veteran from Argentina, pointed to key locations. We've identified weak points in their formation, she said. If we hit them here, and here, we might be able to break through. The plan was risky, but everyone agreed it was their best chance. The order was given. Earth would launch its counterattack. Around the world, humanity's forces sprang into action. Fighter jets took off from hidden runways, their pilots' faces set with determination. In the oceans, submarines surfaced, ready to launch specially designed missiles. Dr. Chen's improved energy shields flickered to life over major cities, stronger than before. In his tech hub, Raj activated a new program. Let's see how they like a taste of their own medicine, he muttered, as he prepared to turn the aliens' own systems against them. As the alien ships descended for another attack, they were met with a surprise. Earth's forces struck first. Missiles streaked through the sky, their warheads packed with technology reverse-engineered from alien debris. In orbit, the alien captain watched in shock as several of his ships exploded. "Impossible," he shouted. "How could they have developed such weapons so quickly?" The battle raged in the skies above every continent. In North America, squadrons of jets engaged alien fighters in dogfights that defied the laws of physics. Over Europe, energy beams crisscrossed the sky as ground-based weapons exchanged fire with alien ships. But the real game-changer came from an unexpected source. In a small lab in Kenya, a young scientist named Amani had made a breakthrough. She had found a way to disrupt the aliens' communication systems. As Amani's device was activated, chaos erupted in the alien fleet. Ships lost contact with each other, their carefully coordinated attack falling into disarray. On the ground, humanity pressed its advantage. In China, tanks equipped with new energy weapons rolled out of hidden bunkers, their guns blazing. In Brazil, a group of hackers led by a teenage prodigy managed to take control of a small alien ship, turning its weapons against the invaders. As the day wore on, the tide of battle began to turn. More and more alien ships fell from the sky, brought down by Earth's unexpected resistance. The people of Earth watched in awe as humanity's forces pushed back against the seemingly invincible armada. In Australia, surfers turned coast guards cheered as they watched an alien ship crash into the ocean. In Russia, old babushkas came out of their homes, offering homemade pierogies to tired soldiers. By nightfall, the alien fleet was in retreat. They pulled back to a higher orbit, leaving behind the wreckage of dozens of their ships. On Earth, celebrations broke out in every city and town. In the command center, leaders allowed themselves a moment of joy. But they knew the fight was far from over. The alien captain's voice crackled over every communication device on the planet. "This is not over, humans," he snarled. "You have no idea of the forces you're dealing with. The full might of the Empire will descend upon you. Your victory today will mean nothing in the face of our wrath." As the transmission cut off, a silence fell over the command center. Then the President of the United States spoke up. "He's right about one thing," she said. "This isn't over. But we've shown them what humanity can do. We've shown them that we won't go down without a fight." Around the world, people began to clean up and rebuild. They knew more battles were coming, but for the first time since the invasion began, they felt hope. Earth had stood up to a galactic empire and held its ground. As teams of scientists studied the alien wreckage, making new discoveries by the hour, a new sense of unity spread across the planet. Old rivalries were forgotten as nations worked together against the common threat. The Galactic Empire had wanted to add Earth to its collection of conquered worlds. Instead, they had awakened a sleeping giant. Humanity was no longer just fighting for survival. They were fighting to show the galaxy that Earth was a force to be reckoned with. As the stars came out, people looked up at the sky with new eyes. The universe had become a much bigger, more dangerous place. But Earth was ready to face whatever came next. 3 days had passed since Earth's successful counterattack. The alien fleet hung in orbit, a constant reminder of the threat looming over the planet. But for now, an uneasy quiet had settled over the world. In the early hours of the 4th day, an unexpected message arrived. The alien captain requested a ceasefire and offered to negotiate. The news spread quickly, causing a mix of hope and suspicion among Earth's population. World leaders gathered once again in the secret bunker to discuss this new development. The room was tense, filled with both excitement and worry. "It could be a trap," warned the Prime Minister of Japan, his face serious. "Or it could be our chance to end this war," countered the President of Nigeria. "We have to at least hear them out." After hours of debate, a decision was reached. Earth would agree to negotiations, but on their terms. The meeting would take place on neutral ground. the International Space Station, which had miraculously survived the battle. As preparations began, Dr. Chen worked on a portable version of her shield technology to protect the Earth delegation. Raj developed a special communication system that the aliens couldn't hack, and Amani, the young Kenyan scientist, created a device to detect any alien weaponry. The day of the negotiation arrived. A small ship carrying Earth's representatives docked with the space station. The team included diplomats, scientists, and military leaders from various nations. Among them was Dr. Elena Volkov, a renowned linguist who had been studying the alien language. As they entered the station, they saw the alien delegation for the first time up close. The aliens were tall and imposing, their metallic skin reflecting the station's lights. But there was something in their posture that looked almost tired. The alien captain stepped forward. "I am Captain Zorn of the Galactic Empire," he said, his voice translated by Dr. Volkov's device. "We underestimated your species." The UN Secretary General, leading Earth's team, replied calmly. "We are prepared to discuss terms for a peaceful resolution. But know this, Earth will not surrender its freedom." What followed was the most extraordinary diplomatic meeting in human history. The aliens explained their empire's structure, their reasons for expansion, and their surprise at Earth's resistance. Earth's team listened, then presented their own case for independence. As the talks continued, something unexpected happened. Some of the younger aliens began to show interest in Earth's culture and way of life. They asked questions about music, art, and the concept of individual freedom. One alien, who introduced himself as Clix, spoke up. "In all our conquests, we've never encountered a species quite like yours," he said. "Your diversity, your creativity, it's fascinating." The negotiations took unexpected turns. The aliens offered advanced technology in exchange for Earth's allegiance. Earth's team countered with proposals for trade and cultural exchange, but insisted on maintaining their independence. Hours turned into days. The talks were tense, sometimes heated, but always moving forward. Both sides began to realize that there might be more to gain from cooperation than conquest. As the negotiations entered their final phase, Captain Zorn made a startling admission. "Our empire, it's not as stable as we've claimed," he said. "Your resistance has inspired rebellions on other worlds. The Emperor fears that if we can't conquer Earth, the Empire might begin to crumble." This revelation changed everything. Earth's team saw an opportunity not just to save their own planet, but to reshape the galaxy. The UN Secretary General leaned forward. "Perhaps," she said, "it's time for a new kind of galactic organization. Not an empire, but an alliance of free worlds. Earth would be willing to join such an alliance, as equals." The idea hung in the air, revolutionary and full of potential. The aliens huddled together, discussing rapidly in their own language. The Earth team waited, hardly daring to breathe. Finally, Captain Zorn turned back to them. "We need to consult with our superiors," he said, "but your proposal is intriguing. It could change everything." As the meeting adjourned, both sides felt a mix of exhaustion and excitement. Nothing was settled yet, but for the first time, a peaceful future seemed possible. The Earth team prepared to return home, carrying with them the hopes of their entire planet. They had stood firm, refused to bow to threats, and might have just changed the course of galactic history. As their ship undocked from the space station, they looked back at Earth. The blue planet shone brightly against the darkness of space, a symbol of hope and resilience for all of humanity. 1 month had passed since the negotiations on the International Space Station. The people of Earth waited anxiously for news, their eyes constantly turned to the sky where the alien fleet still hovered. Finally, the day arrived. Huge screens were set up in city centers around the world. People gathered in streets, parks, and town squares, holding their breath as they waited for the announcement that would determine the fate of their planet. The UN Secretary General appeared on the screens, her face solemn but her eyes shining with an emotion that looked suspiciously like hope. "People of Earth," she began, Today marks a new chapter in human history. No, not just human history, in the history of the galaxy. A murmur ran through the crowds. In New York's Times Square, a child climbed onto her father's shoulders to get a better view. In a small village in India, an old man leaned forward, straining to hear every word. "The Galactic Empire has agreed to our proposal," the Secretary General continued. "As of today, the Empire as it was no longer exists. In its place, we are forming a new galactic alliance of free worlds." Cheers erupted around the globe. In Rio de Janeiro, samba dancers took to the streets. In Tokyo, salarymen hugged each other, their usual reserve forgotten in the moment of joy. But the Secretary General wasn't finished. Earth will be a founding member of this alliance. We will share in galactic knowledge and technology, but we will retain our independence, our culture, our way of life, our freedom. These things are not negotiable. As the news sank in, the mood shifted from celebration to a sense of awe. Humanity had not just survived an alien invasion, they had changed the course of galactic civilization. In the days that followed, the changes began. The alien fleet, once a symbol of fear, now became a source of wonder. Ships landed in designated areas around the world, and for the first time, aliens and humans met face to face in peace. Cultural exchanges began almost immediately. In Paris, an alien art exhibition opened, showcasing works from 1,000 worlds. Alien tourists flocked to the pyramids of Egypt and the Great Wall of China, marveling at humanity's ancient wonders. But it wasn't all one-sided. Human music, with its incredible variety, became a sensation across the galaxy. Alien youths started wearing jeans and t-shirts, much to the confusion of their elders. Science and technology advanced at an incredible pace. Dr. Chen found herself leading a team of human and alien scientists, working on energy solutions that could power entire planets. Raj's computer skills made him a celebrity in the galactic tech community, and Amani, the young Kenyan scientist, was invited to present her theories at a conference on a distant world. Earth's cities began to change. Sleek, alien-inspired buildings rose alongside historic monuments. Hover cars zipped between skyscrapers. But in small towns and villages, life went on much as it always had. Proof that humanity could adapt without losing its essence. There were challenges, of course. Some humans feared the rapid changes. Some aliens looked down on Earth as a backward world. But for every problem, there were people, human and alien alike, working towards solutions. 5 years after the invasion, Earth hosted the first Galactic Alliance Summit. Representatives from 1,000 worlds gathered in the newly built Unity Dome in Geneva. The main topic of discussion: how to spread the ideas of freedom and cooperation to the farthest reaches of the galaxy. As Captain Zorn, now an ambassador for his people, took the stage, he looked out at the diverse crowd. Aliens of all shapes and sizes sat next to humans of every color. He smiled, a gesture he had learned from his human friends. "When we came to Earth," he said, "we thought we were bringing civilization to a primitive world. Instead, you taught us the true meaning of progress. Not conquest, but cooperation. Not subjugation, but freedom." In the audience, the UN Secretary General caught the eye of Dr. Elena Volkov, the linguist who had first helped translate the alien language. They shared a smile, remembering how far they had come. As the summit continued, a small ship took off from a spaceport in Kenya. On board were human explorers, setting off on a mission to the farthest reaches of the galaxy. Among them was a descendant of Amani, carrying on her legacy of curiosity and discovery. Earth had taken its place among the stars, not as a conquered world, but as a beacon of freedom and innovation. The future stretched out before them, full of endless possibilities. And it all began the day Earth declared, "No entry for the Galactic Empire."